multifaceted plan. We built on that plan yesterday to make the border even stronger.
Details of Ottawa's billion-dollar border security plan.
Tonight, the crackdown to keep U.S. tariffs at bay. Trump's trade war on Canada paused for at least 30 days. Good evening. It was the political promise to appease Donald Trump.
Boosting border controls and targeting illegal drugs. CTV's Mike Legator takes us through Canada's efforts to deliver the goods to avoid tariffs.
Canada had already pledged $1.3 billion to bolster the border, and they added $200 million yesterday to fight organized crime. Today, the government was eager to show exactly where that money is going.
It's alarming right now.
A Canadian border guard shows off a machine that can detect highly toxic drugs. Stopping the flow of the deadly substances was the ask from the U.S., but Canada is also focused on results beyond that.
What was our objective yesterday? Stop the tariffs. What's our objective today? Stop the tariffs.
Canada managed to do that after presenting U.S. President Donald Trump with an enhanced border plan, including listing Mexican drug cartels as terrorists and a new role that was Canada's idea, according to a senior government source.
Fentanyl czar, who will serve as the main interlocutor between the Canadian and U.S. governments and will enhance our collaboration in combating fentanyl.
In the last year of tracking, U.S. border agents seized less than 20 kilograms of fentanyl at our shared border. Compared that to 9,500 kilograms seized at the border with Mexico. Still, a senior trade advisor to President Trump says Canada's border remains an issue.
The Mexican drug cartels are rapidly expanding in Canada, and that's a danger.
But for Canada to avoid 25% tariffs permanently, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith believes we need to address other economic irritants.
The digital media tax, the banking industry, telecom, supply management, those keep coming up, but those can only be resolved in the context of a broader renegotiation.
One that could need to happen before 2026, when talks around the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement are set to start. It's why the federal government is pushing for a Team Canada approach on all fronts.
What we know is the only ones that will be able to convince President Trump are Americans themselves. So we need to continue the pressure to make sure that we lobby Washington.
Those efforts continue this week with the Defense Minister and Minister of Innovation in D.C. tomorrow. Mike Legator, CTV News, Ottawa.
Also tonight, driving home the message that a trade war hurts business on both sides of the border. We hear from truckers hoping Canada and the U.S. can eventually bridge the tariff gap.
The border security measures may have paused the U.S. tariffs, but the threat still remains.
And Canadian consumers aren't letting their guard down. The effort to buy local still strong. CTV's Mike Walker joins us live with reaction to the latest developments in the trade dispute. Mike.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, just about every shopper we spoke with today expressed concern that this trade war is far from over, and also said they are angry with the U.S. government, which is leaving them with no choice but to buy Canadian. It's a shift in consumer habits that small business owners tell us they are also noticing. Amid the already high grocery prices, there is relief after the last-minute pause on sweeping tariffs.
It's good for now. We'll see what happens.
Well, it's a bit of a reprieve. Get our ducks in a row.
Many shoppers who are looking to fill their carts with Canadian products say the 30-day pause isn't changing their minds, still outraged over U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats.
Cognizant of not buying anything except Canadian, because I think he's playing a game. It's a ridiculous game.
And they fear the trade war is far from over.
It helps our businesses here and keep the money in the country as much as we can.
I don't have much faith that tariffs are not going to happen.
A shift in consumer focus this organic grocer has noticed.
They were buying some products that were American, and they didn't buy them because they said if we had something similar as Canadian.
He's also relieved tariffs have been paused, but is worried about what could be imposed down the road. 25% of the products on his shelves are imported from the U.S.
Prices from last 3-4 years have gone up already so much. Uncertainty is scary, So I don't know what to prepare for.
Experts warn that uncertainty in the market could still impact the consumer.
The uncertainty that is impacting our Canadian dollar. And because it's costing more to get food into our country now, people are going to start seeing higher prices.
The Buy Canadian movement has other small business owners like Daniel Narain ramping up their efforts online to encourage people to buy local.
We're pumping out all these local brands on social media as much as we can on a daily basis.
A majority of his products are locally sourced and is now looking to add more.
We're really small makers who are trying to find their way through this crazy consumer goods world. And I think it's small businesses like us that actually give them a little bit of a push.
Shoppers aware buying Canadian presents its challenges, but many like Elizabeth say,
I look today, there's alternatives, and we're just maybe having to go back to, Canadian staples, apples.
To help put this in perspective, a new poll by Research Co. found that more than 3 in 5 Canadians say they will avoid buying U.S. goods if alternatives are available. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And cross-border trade is in full swing following the delay of U.S. tariffs.
Truckers expressing some relief on the road. Today, CTV Sean Leathong spoke with drivers responsible for ferrying goods between Canada and the U.S.
With trucks making their way into the United States the day after a trade war was put on hold, drivers at the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge are expressing some relief.
Well, I think that's good. Hopefully they can sit down together and come up with some type of a amicable agreement that benefits everybody.
It's good for now, but once they come off pause, it's really going to screw up this industry.
I think it's all nonsense, to tell you the truth.
Filling up just down the road before crossing into the U.S., Tom DeWonkis is headed to Connecticut. He says Canadian and American workers are more connected than politicians may think.
I bought one of those hats that says Canada's not for sale. And I was in the shipping department down in Connecticut, and all the guys started laughing at my hat, and they were coming up and shaking my hands. I mean, they agree. The common American person agrees that this is just utter nonsense.
DeWonka says he wasn't worried yesterday, believing this was all just bargaining.
We're doing a couple of $1 billion a day across the bridges. I just can't see that, slowing down.
Elsewhere, this driver says his shipment of Lululemon clothes was denied because some of the items were from China.
You think you're going to get through? Maybe. It depends. We took out the products of China, so now let's see what's going to happen next.
As products from China were hit with a 10% tariff, while Canada and Mexico have a 30-day reprieve.
I think that it might give Canadians a push to actually get more Canadian jobs, make more things for Canada.
I think it'll go to the end again. I think we'll be at day 29 and a half, and they'll start, flexing or whatever. You never know.
And while many drivers we spoke to today said that cross-border trade is too big to slow down, they do remain concerned over this newfound instability. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Still ahead, did a hot mic put Doug Ford in hot water? The premier downplays his private comments about Donald Trump while the opposition stirs the pot.
But first, a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot. Conditions were normal for this time of year during the day, but tonight temperatures are dropping big time. So be prepared if you're heading out this evening, maybe for a skate. How will things look tomorrow? Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions live on remote, joining us from Prince's Gates. Jess.
It's cold today and it's cold tomorrow, Nathan. But the good news is, as you mentioned, it's fairly seasonal, all things considered. We get a break from the active weather tonight and into the day tomorrow before another system moves in, set to bring freezing rain for some and snow for others on Thursday. So an early heads up. We've seen a decent amount of light flurries early this morning, but the bulk of that is gone now. We're just left with the cold behind. But high pressure moves in and it will eventually clear things out. Right now, -8, feeling like -16. And right across southern Ontario, it's a little fresh. Into the start of the day tomorrow, it is cool as well, but at least we will see a little more sunshine. The low tonight, -12, feeling like -15. Coming up, your full forecast right now. It's back over to Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Jess. The U.S. tariff threat continued to dominate discussion on the Ontario election campaign trail today. BC
leader Doug Ford defending some unscripted comments unknowingly picked up by a camera microphone. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the story. Siobhan.
Well, this has to do with PC leader Doug Ford's previous support of Donald Trump, even when tariffs were on the table. His political rivals say it's revealing of his character. It was an unguarded moment on the campaign trail. Progressive Conservative leader Doug Ford talking about President Donald Trump when tariffs hung in the balance.
And the election, if that happened, this guy won 100% it was. Then the guy pulled out the knife.
Yeah, he makes me swear once in a while. I think he makes a lot of people swear in this country.
Ford not shying away from his declaration, even though Trump had campaigned on sweeping tariffs for Canada.
I just thought things might be a little different. We experienced 5 or 6 weeks of tariffs last time.
But he emphasizes now, even with the threat of tariffs on pause,
President Trump's not getting a Christmas card anytime soon, to say the least.
Other leaders see this moment as revealing of Ford's character.
This is not news to us. This is who Doug Ford is. He says one thing when he's out front to the microphones, in front of all of you, and he says another one behind closed doors.
Suggesting Ford doesn't have Ontario's best interest at heart.
Why would he want a president who threatened to impose punitive tariffs and cause a trade war with the United States?
Campaigning in Brampton, an area swept by the PCs in 2022, Bonnie Crombie's trying to refocus the election with Ford's justification of protecting Ontario from tariffs pushed until next month.
Doug Ford doesn't want to be held accountable for his record here in Ontario. It's a failed record.
Pointing to high unemployment, problems accessing a family doctor, and the state of Ontario schools. In Ottawa, Marit Stiles was spotlighting education, promising to clear school repair backlogs and revisit funding formulas.
We're also going to hire more staff and ensure that every single student, regardless of their needs, gets the support they deserve.
Green Party leader Mike Schreiner spent the day in Parry Sound, Muskoka, getting an earful going door to door.
Why is the Ford government so focused on spending billions in the GTA when we can't get access to a doctor, when our roads and bridges need repaired?
The Greens finished second, 2,100 votes behind the PCs in this riding last time around. In Ottawa, Doug Ford promised that a re-elected PC government would take over responsibility of the city's LRT system, a promise the Liberals have also made. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. A new airline option is set to take off in Hamilton.
Porter is expanding service in the city, offering flights to 4 Canadian destinations. CTV's John Musselman explains.
Porter Airlines CEO Michael DeLuce and Hamilton Mayor Andrea Horvath took part in a symbolic wall-breaking ceremony today to mark big changes coming to Hamilton International Airport. It includes an improved entranceway at the terminal building and more passenger-friendly services. And Porter Airlines will launch daily non-stop flights to 4 Canadian cities starting in June.
The Hamilton International Airport is a closer airport than any other airport in Ontario for 1.5 million people. And so it has a great catchment area. What it has lacked is a quality service that offers regular flights to a range of destinations.
Those flights will be offered to Vancouver and Halifax starting on June 3rd and Calgary and Edmonton on June 11th. Hamilton's mayor says it gives residents in the GTHA more options.
Hamiltonians have been longing for better air passenger service, and having Porter here is it's just thrilling. We're really excited.
Hamilton International is a proven airport here in terms of our passenger growth. Lots of passengers love flying here. We've hit 1 million passengers in the past on E&D. Our market is proven, so it's really about the commitment with a carrier to come in and serve this market.
John C. Munro Airport is better known as a cargo airport, but it currently offers limited passenger service from 3 carriers. There have been discount airlines that have come and gone from this airport over the years. The most recent is Play Airlines out of Iceland. It is ending service in Hamilton in April. Despite those setbacks, aviation analysts say Porter is an established player, and this move to Hamilton will likely succeed.
They currently fly, Toronto to Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Halifax. They know where those passengers are coming from, where they reside. And they've done their marketing analysis. They know that a significant number of their current Pearson passengers reside, in and around Hamilton.
A standard round-trip fare from Hamilton to Vancouver is listed at just over $400, and a standard round-trip fare to Halifax is being offered at $388. Basic fares can be purchased at even lower prices. Porter Airlines officials say they will gauge how the public responds to these 4 initial flights before they decide whether or not they want to expand it. John Musselman, CTV News in Hamilton.
To York Region, where police are trying to identify a suspect who left a dog tied to a pole in the dead of winter.
The dog is now in the care of an animal shelter. The incident caught on camera at a park in Georgina. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with the story. Janice.
Nathan, this will be an upsetting story for pet owners. York Regional Police are asking for the public's help after a dog was abandoned in the town of Georgina. Now, this is video police have released of a person they're looking for, the driver of a black pickup truck, which you can see on your screen. The man arrives at a dog park at Lake Drive South and Robert Street in Georgina and parks the vehicle. He emerges with the dog, walks the pet a short distance before tying it to a pole. Now, police say the animal was there for hours in very frigid temperatures before someone found it at around 8:15 a.m. Sunday and called investigators to the park. The year-and-a-half-old Cane Corso mix was taken to the Georgina Animal Shelter and Adoption Center.
The truck is very distinct, as you can see in the video, so we know someone in that area will recognize the truck and are just appealing for any witnesses or anyone with information to contact our investigators up at 3 District. And to the owner, just, do the right thing and contact investigators, talk to legal counsel and notify us so we can put a happy ending to this story.
It's very stressful, and it's very heartbreaking to see, and people do find themselves in terrible situations. So, trying to help find solutions for people who are facing, whether it's homelessness or financial stress, trying to help them find resources. That's what I would be, trying to do.
Now, that was Jennifer Yappa from the Georgina Animal Shelter, who says the dog arrived at their adoption center without any major health concerns. Staff say they've named her Winter. At this time, they describe Winter as timid following such a traumatic experience. They say they are assessing her and will spay and microchip her before she's ready for adoption sometime in the next couple of weeks. Now, in the meantime, York Regional Police say the dog's original owner could end up facing animal cruelty charges. They would like to speak to them to find out what exactly led them to leave the dog in the park like that. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. In Whitby, a piece of art stolen from a local art gallery will soon be back on exhibit. As CTV's Rahim Ladani reports, it was tracked down thanks to the eagle-eyed residents in the Durham community.
Through these doors and inside Station Gallery in Whitby are countless pieces of art. But it was this headless female figure made of serpentine stone, titled Joy, which caught the eye of an art thief. Surveillance video from January 9th shows a man walk up to the sculpture and put the 50-pound bust under his orange and yellow safety jacket before walking away.
Sick to my stomach.
Natasha Downs gave the man a tour of the gallery when he first walked in and says he didn't seem out of the ordinary.
The questions he had were similar to questions that people have all the time when they walk through our gallery. So it's hard for us to tell if somebody has good intentions or not.
After noticing the sculpture was missing the next day, she filed a police report, then took to social media asking for help, and the Durham community answered her call.
People who knew exactly who the individual was, people who had seen the individual with the sculpture.
Thanks to local tips, Durham police were able to track down both the suspect and the sculpture, which, other than a few scuffs, was in good condition. The artist, Tamarika Stongway, decided not to press charges and instead is bringing the sculpture back to Station Gallery this Thursday for a celebration of joy.
In honor of that, brought together a certificate of recognition. So this is issued to the friends of the Station Gallery, the people that put the effort in and provided the tips to recover the stolen art.
The gallery is now investing in higher security, from guards to pressure sensors. Meantime, the attention since the theft has brought in many first-time visitors.
We're doing some outreach and promotion to as many members of the Whitby and broader community as possible to come down to the Station Gallery, see the great art that we have here, see the stolen art, see the return of joy.
Turning a troubling situation into a joyous experience. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
We're following breaking news. Police investigating a double shooting in Etobicoke. There's a live shot. Now, they were called to an apartment building near the East Mall in Rathburn Road just before 5:30 p.m. 2 people were taken to hospital with gunshot wounds. There's been no word on their condition. Police say 2 men wearing masks were spotted leaving the scene. and they're asking anyone with information to come forward.
And more late-breaking news tonight. Shia Ismaili Muslims around the world are mourning the passing of their spiritual leader, the Aga Khan. His Highness Prince Karim Al Husseini died in Portugal surrounded by family. He was 88. The Aga Khan became the spiritual leader of millions of Ismaili Muslims at the age of 20 as a Harvard undergraduate. The business magnate and philanthropist was instrumental in building homes, hospitals, and schools in developing countries. Followers of the 49th hereditary Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims consider him to be a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. The Aga Khan Foundation says an announcement on his successor will be made later.
In Sweden, about 10 people were killed in a shooting at an adult education center. A final death toll, the number of wounded, and a motive have not yet been determined. The attack happened on the outskirts of the city, about 200 kilometers west of Stockholm. The suspected gunman was among those who died. It's believed he acted alone and wasn't previously known to police, who raided his home. Officials say there were no warning signs before the attack.
At the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump made his first public comments today since granting that 30-day pause in tariffs against Canada.
Well, there's a short-term freeze with Mexico, as you know, and with Canada. But they've agreed to be very, very strong on the border, stronger than they ever were by far, by a factor of about 30. And in addition to that, as you can see, we've been strong because we've had numbers like you've never seen before. I mean, the border is now closed, really closed. And with that being said, we're letting good people come through, and we want good people to come into our country. But the border is closed.
Trump says the tariffs will be off the table for a month to see if the U.S. and Canada can reach what he calls a final economic deal.
In Ottawa, there are renewed calls for the House of Commons to resume sitting amid the threat of American tariffs. Justin Trudeau prorogued Parliament last month to allow the Liberal Party to choose his replacement as leader and to ensure the minority government is not toppled before then. But both the Conservatives and the New Democrats say MPs need to get back to work within the next month to act on the tariff threat. The U.S. president paused the import taxes on Canada yesterday until at least March 4th. Parliament is not scheduled to sit again until March 24th.
President Trump is also threatening the European Union with tariffs. Today, the EU said it wants to engage quickly with the U.S. in an effort to avoid the levies.
We are prepared for this negotiations, but also at the same time, it's very clear that if it would be hit unfairly or arbitrarily, we will respond firmly.
European ministers met in Poland to discuss the potential tariffs. EU officials said contacts with the Trump administration have been limited so far, but noted the president's picks for top jobs can't speak to foreign counterparts until their positions have been confirmed.
China did not get a tariff pause like Canada and Mexico, so the U.S. levies went into effect today. 10% taxes have been imposed on Chinese imports. And shortly after the tariffs became official today, China said it would implement 10 and 15% levies on a number of American goods. They largely focus on energy and vehicles and will take effect next Monday. An antitrust investigation into Google was also announced. The U.S. president is expected to speak with his Chinese counterpart in the coming days.
New research shows two craters on the moon are both comparable in size to the Grand Canyon. The massive basins were formed when an asteroid hit the surface billions of years ago. Scientists estimate the space rock was about 25 kilometers wide. The canyons are on the lunar far side, which is good news for NASA. It wants to land astronauts on the near Earth-facing side, which is untouched by the asteroid's impact.
Coming up, an inclusive and heartwarming gift. A little girl facing some big challenges gets a new doll that looks just like her. The surprise and the joy just ahead.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, groceries are expensive, which is why it's nice to get something extra when you do your shopping. One program offered huge discounts on pots and pans, but many customers say they're unable to get their cookware. All of that story, that's just ahead.
as cool it has been today, it is a fairly seasonal one as we get through our Tuesday here in the city and really right across southern Ontario. Now, temperatures take a bit of a dip for our daytime high into the day tomorrow, but we're still within a fairly seasonal range. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, and we'll break down what you can expect for the rest of this first full week of February. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Grocery prices have increased steadily over the years, and expected food prices will rise again this year by another 3 to 5%.
Many shoppers are looking for ways to save money, and that includes taking part in promotions for discounts on cookware. Pat Foran has this story on Consumer Alert.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. Loblaw has a popular program where you buy groceries and collect stamps to get deals, but many are upset after spending so much money on pots and pans, and they can't find them.
It was a waste of my time and money, apparently.
Kathy Toll of Toronto took part in the Loblaw cookware program. Starting in October, for every $20 spent on groceries, you receive a stamp. And once you have 20 stamps, you can get a pot or a pan for 75% off. But Toll says when she went to pick out an item, there were none to be found.
I finally collected my 20 stamps and took them in to redeem them, and they were sold out of every piece of cookware.
She noticed on social media platforms there were many other frustrated customers complaining they couldn't get the cookware either.
I feel cheated.
I feel like we've been taken advantage of as consumers.
Gina Vivian of Etobicoke says she spent almost $3,000 on groceries and collected 149 stamps. Despite trying for over a month, she's been unable to redeem the stamps for a single piece of cookware.
I've gone to 2 Loblawses, 3 No Frills, and 1 Value Mart, and all across the board, they do not have these pots and pans.
When we reached out to Loblaw, they said it was a very popular promotion and that despite restocking multiple times, we know some customers are still looking for that perfect pan. We've ordered more of the most popular items, which will be available to customers until supplies run out.
When something goes wrong, people notice.
Those who monitor the grocery industry say Loblaw should do something to keep customers who collected the stamps happy, either by providing the cookware, vouchers, or something else.
And that PC program is a very strong program. But if you annoy people, they'll walk away. So you want to make sure that you address some of these shortcomings.
The program ends February 20th. Customers worry they'll be left with worthless stamp cards.
I don't care if I don't get my frying pan. I'll find one somewhere else. It's not about that. It's about being sucked into a promotion and then the company not fulfilling their end of the bargain.
And the program does say pots and pans are available until supplies run out, but some customers say they ran out too quickly. Loblaw says many people did get cookware and that tens of millions of stamps were redeemed. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, you might have been caught in a little snow shower today. The good news is the sky's settled, but it is getting colder in these evening hours.
Yeah, you really notice the temperatures dropping tonight, Jess.
Oh, I feel every single one of those wind chills. It is cold outside, but I have my layers on. I knew I was going to be outdoors, so I am prepared accordingly. And, you know, there are a ton of activities you can do to stay warm in the winter. Running is one of them. I have Marcio and Mafopa here with me. Marcio, I want to talk to you about the running group you're in called Ultra Black. What are you guys all about?
So Ultra Black, quite simply, we're not just a running group. We're an all-black wellness group, so we focus on mental health, physical health, obviously, and we do a lot of community initiatives around the city.
We're outside and it is obviously not warm, but we're talking about staying warm when running. And Mafopa, talk to me about how you prepare to be outside in the winter and running.
So the most important part, first and foremost, is what you wear. Wear something warm. Then the next thing about what you wear after. You want to change out as soon as possible. And then lastly, you know, get a friend. It's dark, it's cold. It may be hard to do by yourself, so get a friend, get a community or a run club.
And they have so many events coming up. They have one on the 27th. You can check them out on Instagram. They have a really cool wellness event coming up. But I want to talk about your forecast because you guys are getting ready to do a run tonight at about 7 o'clock. Y'all are so brave because I'm cold just thinking about it, but it is going to be warm because you guys are going to be moving. For us standing still, you want to layer up accordingly, especially if you're heading out this evening. Now, temperature-wise, it is going to be cold tonight, but we stay at a fairly seasonal point, all things considered. So just layer up if you're going to spend some time outdoors. Right now, sitting at around -8 through the city, feeling like -16. Northern Ontario, you're into the -20 wind chills. So just keep that in mind. Again, we're not far off of the seasonal mark in Southern Ontario, but Northern Ontario quite cold. Tonight, we're sitting at -12, feeling like -15, and everybody feeling that little bit of a chill tonight, but we are in a fairly seasonal range with a lighter northerly wind. Into the day tomorrow, we see a little more sunshine, but not much more warmth. -6, feeling like -8. And we're all sitting just below that seasonal point as we head in towards that midpoint of our week. But the good news is high pressure moves in and we see a little sunshine. There were some lake effect flurries early on today, thanks to a bit of a trough making its way across the Great Lakes. But overall, the bulk of that moved out late afternoon, early evening. Now into the day tomorrow, a little cloud cover will linger, but we are looking at a little more sunshine. So it's not warm, but at least it's a little brighter outside. Enjoyable, I guess, for spending time outdoors. As we head in towards the midpoint of our week in the afternoon, the cloud cover rolls in. And then into Thursday, we are watching for the chance of another system. This one coming up from south of the border, set to bring freezing rain through Windsor, London, and parts of Hamilton and Niagara. For the GTA, falling more as flurries. But by the time we reach the midpoint of our Thursday, the bulk of that active weather is going to be gone. As we head in towards the end of the week, though, we're still watching for the chance of maybe a light passing flurry or two. Now, temperature-wise, we're not too far off the seasonal mark one way or the other as we head throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend. We don't really see the return of sunshine, though, until we head in towards the beginning of next week. So it is sort of seasonal, but still that wind chill very much a factor. Nathan and Michelle, I'll send things back inside to you.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Also tonight, the long journey to inspire hope and find a cure. We take a look at the launch of the new Marathon of Hope as we honor Terry Fox and mark World Cancer Day. Today is World Cancer Day, a day to raise awareness and promote prevention in the fight against the disease.
It comes as a new survey is highlighting the financial cost for patients dealing with the disease. Data from the Angus Reid Institute and Canadian Cancer Society finds 2 in 5, that's 40%, reported a negative impact on their retirement savings as they deal with treatment. 17% struggled to pay the rent. 13% had a hard time making mortgage payments, and 21% struggled with monthly expenses. 28% of cancer patients had to take unpaid time off work. 34% were burdened with substantial out-of-pocket costs. 11% lost their job, and 10% were either demoted or missed out on career opportunities.
I think that there's an assumption that here in Canada we have a universal health care and that things are covered. And we deal with and hear from everyday cancer patients who are struggling to make ends meet in the context of their cancer diagnosis. The other piece that we're really working to shine a light on through this survey released today is that among working age Canadians, about 80% indicate that they would struggle to save for retirement if they were faced with a cancer diagnosis.
A report released by the Canadian Cancer Society in December estimates the average Canadian spent about $33,000 during their lifetime on their cancer diagnosis.
And this World Cancer Day falls on the 45th anniversary of Terry Fox Marathon of Hope. Today, the Fox family, researchers, and even members of the Tragically Hip gathered to kick off a new research initiative. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the details.
5-year survival is in single digits. To say it was grim was an understatement.
But 2 years after Yuan Liu was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, she is here to tell her story and talk about the importance of personalized medicine. In her case, just 1 pill a day that targets her particular genetic makeup.
So I'm just on borrowed time here, and I want to make sure that more Canadians have access to this.
At the launch of the new Marathon of Hope Cancer Centers Network, researchers spoke of a new era.
To link researchers, patients, cancer doctors, research hospitals, funding organizations across the entire country. This has not been done, and this is the first time where we're actually positioned to have a national precision cancer medicine agenda.
And one of the innovative things about these new networks is that they will be very patient-focused with patient working groups from the very beginning.
Terry Fox's niece, who was born 5 years after Fox died in 1981, said her uncle would be proud to see the scientific developments funded by his foundation.
I think that's one of the most powerful messages that, he was just one person and he made such a huge difference in the world, and we all can
do that. You know, we all don't need to try to run across Canada, but we can give to things that are important. So we can all make a difference.
And as a part of the launch, a new video featuring the tragically hip song Courage.
It's not lost on us that there's a connection, you know, between, you know, Terry's Marathon of Hope and, you know, Gord going across the country with cancer.
A journey to inspire Canada and hope. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Mirvish Productions has released its list of upcoming shows for the 2025-26 season.
And Toronto audiences will be treated to some of the toast of Broadway without traveling to the Big Apple. CTV's Andrea Case has a look at the lineup.
It has been almost 16 years since Michael Jackson died, but his musical legacy lives on. MJ the Musical looks at the pivotal moment when Jackson was creating his 1992 Dangerous Concert Tour. The show is a look at his career highlights from the Jackson 5 to solo artist and all the hits in between. The 4-time Tony Award winner will open the season in September.
Juliet plunges Romeo's dagger into her heart.
What if Juliet didn't die? That should almost be the start of the play.
Returning to the Toronto stage, and Juliet, a new take on the Shakespeare play Romeo and Juliet with a trail of hits written by Max Martin and friends. And Juliet opens in December.
Some like it hot, and that ain't bad.
Running from the mob, 2 musicians hop a train and their lives are changed forever. That's the story you'll find in Some Like It Hot. This production won 4 Tony Awards and more other theater awards than any show in its season. Toronto audiences will have to wait for February of next year for this show to bring the heat. Ever wonder how Neil Diamond became a musical force? You'll find out when the Canadian premiere of A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical, rolls into town in April 2026.
When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house.
And a childhood favorite won hearts on Broadway this past season, and now the Canadian premiere of The Outsiders, a new musical, is coming to Toronto. The winner of 4 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, The Outsiders is a story of friendship, family, belonging, and the realization that there is still lots of good in the world. It opens June 2026.
After the break, parents, get ready. The summer camp scramble is about to begin. Registration for Camp TO starts tomorrow morning, and this year there's more incentive to sign up. Updating our top stories, 2 people have been shot in the West End. There's no information on their condition. It happened around 5:30 this afternoon at an apartment building near the East Mall in Rathburn Road. 2 male suspects wearing masks were seen fleeing.
What was our objective yesterday? Stop the tariffs. What's our objective today? Stop the tariffs.
Canadian officials displaying a machine that can detect highly toxic drugs today. It is part of an enhanced plan to beef up our border in an effort to avoid U.S. levies on Canadian goods. Federal cabinet ministers are also in Washington making their case.
Porter Airlines will launch daily nonstop flights to 4 Canadian cities: Vancouver, Halifax, Calgary, and Edmonton, starting in June. Also today, changes to Hamilton Airport were announced, including an improved entranceway at the terminal building and more passenger-friendly services.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca by downloading the CTV News app.
Canadian and U.S. stocks rose today after Donald Trump's deferred tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg has the details in business.
Hello there. Investors moved back into stocks today, sending the Canadian and U.S. markets slightly higher after Canada and Mexico won a deferral of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. That was in return for pledges of beefed up border security. In Toronto, winners included Shopify. CN Rail and CP Kansas City were also up after sagging yesterday on fears of trade disruption. gold stocks actually slipped a little, even though bullion hit new highs above $2,853 US an ounce. In New York, shares in the drug giant Merck slid 9%. The company halted shipments to China of its cancer-preventing Gardasil vaccine. That's a blockbuster product. The CEO, Robert Davis, said the move is meant to allow a China-based partner to sell off its stockpile of unused doses. But investors are worried about weak sales in the Chinese market. The Canadian dollar rose. It changed hands at 69.85 US cents, up half of a cent. West Texas Intermediate oil was at $72.70 US a barrel, down 46 cents. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil, $58.64, up 2.36. And the TSX Composite ended at 25,279.35, up just under 38 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Parents, set your alarms. Registration for Camp TO opens tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. citywide. And this year, there's one tasty addition for kids.
This Camp TO programs, on average, will have close to 100,000 kids, 96,000 to be precise, that would be registrating, that would be finding a lot of fun in the summer. But this summer is different. For the first time, 31,000 of these kids will have good, nutritious food during the camp program time.
The food program will provide healthy mid-morning snacks to campers at 45 locations in neighborhood improvement areas. Camp TO has programs for kids aged 4 to 16 with 30 different types of programs across 140 locations in the city. Just ahead on CTV News, a doll with a difference. A 1-year-old girl is overjoyed to receive a matching new best friend, the lovable, inseparable pair, after the break. Finally tonight, a little girl is learning to take her first steps with the help of a very special toy.
The toddler has 2 artificial legs. She loves dolls and now has one in her own image. CTV's Scott Lightfoot has the story.
Amidst the chaos of this room full of kids is a little girl who's facing some very big challenges.
Funky little girl, a lot of spunk.
Her name is Shoshana. She's just under 2 years old, and like most children her age, she's learning how her body works. But Shoshana's body is different than many of those around her.
She uses 2 prosthetics.
Which means she's not just learning how to sit, stand, walk, and kick, but she's doing so with artificial legs.
At first, she wouldn't put them on. So even within the first couple weeks, she would start asking for her leggies and was more comfortable putting them on.
Knowing Shoshana loves dolls, staff at Kayla's Children's Center in Vaughan decided to enlist the services of A Step Ahead Prosthetics, a U.S. company that takes American Girl dolls and outfits them with prosthetics similar to the child. Now Shoshana and baby are inseparable.
It's life-changing. Before she got the doll, she was already warming up to the idea of, her being different and her having to work a little bit harder to do the things that normal kids do. But when she got the doll, you could see that she was happier to do it, that she wanted to do it. And it just means everything. Good job, baby. Good.
Part of what she's doing with baby is watching and learning. The doll takes part in and helps demonstrate many of Shoshana's physiotherapy exercises.
I see in her eyes that she gets it, right? And that she gets that the doll looks like her. The other toys don't.
Together, the pair work on balance and mobility, both things that have improved since the arrival of baby.
The children learn through play. It teaches them about themselves. It teaches them about their environment. So I think it really nurtures her emotionally that there's this beautiful doll that's perfect, just like she's perfect.
Her family is so happy with how happy she is. It's so obvious how happy she is when she's playing with baby.
And whether she's playing or learning, Shoshana now has someone similar by her side as she navigates life with artificial limbs.
For her to have one that looks like her that represents her and one that she can call her own. It is a dream come true.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
Such a beautiful story. I'm sure that doll does so much for her.
It's amazing how a doll can do that. Go, Shoshana, go. What a bright future ahead. Love that story. Let's take a look at your forecast. We're entering the midweek mark, and tomorrow expect a high of -6. Definitely going to be cold when you head out the door in the morning with the wind chill. It'll feel like double digits. Dress for it. Fortunately, nothing in the way of snow, just a cloudy and some peaks of sun for your Wednesday. Thursday, though, we are anticipating periods of snow. Could get a few centimeters. Milder, though, the high 2 degrees, cool at night as well. Friday brings a chance of flurries, mix of sun and cloud, high -3. And then it's looking like your weekend is unsettled, but not too cool. And then come next week, at least at this point, you know, seasonal conditions, and we actually have some sun, which is really nice. That's it for CTV News at 6 o'clock. But be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all of us here and Jessica Smith, the whole team, thanks for watching and have a great night. See you tomorrow.
It's cute we're both reaching for that.